ISO flexes in there. It's not gonna.
You know, thank you very much for joining us, guys. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, you know, to see us. So, you know, why don't we start with a brief introduction into, you know, names and tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Cool, for sure. My name's Chris. I'm a weightlifter. I'm a coach. I run SoCal Weightlifting. I am partnered with this guy here with Onyx Weightlifting Company, and the other hat I wear is I'm our LWC president. So I kind of handle weightlifting at the local level all here in Southern California. So kind of boots on the ground type of guy for USAW Weightlifting.
Yeah.
So those are kind of big things I do.
Yeah. My name is Danny, founder of Onyx Straps, weightlifter, masters athlete, coach, just a weightlifting lover, you know, enthusiast.
Can you guys tell us a little bit about the origins of Onyx Straps and how you guys came to?
Yeah, Onyx Straps, I started Onyx early 2016. I was making nylon webbing straps from REI, and I just wanted specifically a red leather one because I had a red nylon webbing in my hand, and just kind of found a local leather shop, picked up some leather, figured out what kind of leather I could use, what I couldn't use, got some tools, and just went down like a, you know, YouTube rabbit hole of how do I craft leather, how do I make leather straps.
Yeah.
And it's pretty how it all started. I bought a plane ticket to the Olympic trials in Utah. I made a bunch of straps, hung it on my backpack, walked around and just, hey, hi, hey, you know, talk to people and like try to get to know people, and it's pretty much how it all started.
Yeah. I knew Danny. Him and I were training partners back in the day, and I watched him start Onyx, and I watched him just operate this one-man company out of his garage. And I mean, clearly he was passionate about it because he was going around, like he said, buying plane tickets to nationals, flying, just meeting people. He was coming down, training with my team, just trying to get his product out there. So I saw this huge potential with what he had going on, like what the brand stood for, his personality. Like there's just so many positive things that were pairing up with the fact that weightlifting is just on this huge growth trajectory. So I watched him from afar. Not too far because we've been super
friends
tight
for a while.
But I watched him start growing this thing and building this thing, and a couple years ago I approached him one day. We were actually at Masters Worlds.
I was competing at Worlds Barcelona.
Yeah, and it was there where I was just like, hey man, like let's work together, let's bring Onyx together with SoCal, and let's like start really trying to push Onyx to that next level. And
then it was like an automatic like, yeah, you know, like let's do it, you know. And it was like right away, like chemistry right away, you know. And it's huge, you know, like he's my coach, he's my homie, he's my friend, you know. It just fits. So
what are some other milestones that you know, have come up along the way that you guys think are significant?
Well, I mean, first, just going from him making handheld straps on his own to what he has now.
How do you craft leather? You know, like never took a class, so I had to, one, figure that out, and then two, find somebody who could help me with this stuff. You know, like I've never taken a business class. Half the time I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, but you know, you just do it because it's from passion. You know. You find these unanswered questions and you try to figure out how to answer them.
We probably bit off more than we can chew in the beginning. Like, you know, we set out on this mission to help move weightlifting forward, and it was all piggybacked off of one product, just our straps. And so like the next thing right away was we looked at wrist wraps, and he had ideas of wrist wraps from years ago that just kind of got sidelined.
Just kind of left it. I'm like, I'll get to this eventually.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of 2019, one, traveling to all the events, and then two, building this wrist wrap. And it took us the better part of the entire year to trial and test this wrist wrap and have my weightlifters here at SoCal run this thing just through the ringer. It took us over 10 months before we finally launched it. We launched our new wrist wrap in October of 2019, and then we discovered from then till now, basically, and that was just trying to manage the inventory. Like, we couldn't keep our wrist wraps or our straps in stock. That was a big problem for us.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
finally we got through it. We had to rework our entire workflow, create a whole system around who's going to be making our straps. That's what we try to focus on here in the shop.
Yeah.
Who's going to be making our wrist wraps. So now we're finally past all that stuff. It's hard to pin down one series of setbacks or problems.
So a new thing you gotta figure out.
Yeah, like this whole thing is such a huge learning experience. Like, we have no e-commerce experience, we have no leathercraft experience.
Yeah.
Like, I'm new, he's been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that it's just this constant learning that it's just every day. It's just learning and learning.
You became USAW sponsor. Can you guys tell us a little bit about the story of how that came to be and what cool things you guys have planned in the near future here?
Yeah, that's been monumental for us because it gave us the opportunity to start building relationships with the weightlifting community. And that is really, everything that we are. We have not looked at pushing into other markets and other fitness sectors. Our whole focus is on weightlifting. So to be able to now be a USAW sponsor, go to all the USAW events, meet coaches, meet athletes, connect with them, show them our products, and then hear the stories of how our products are helping, it's been like a part of this, like this gift that we've both been so fortunate to be given, that like it's hard to put into words. Hearing people talk about our wrist wraps and the way that they've changed their weightlifting and the way that our wrist wraps have helped them, like, he gets emails all the time, people that reach out and just want us to know like how awesome of a product we have. And that stuff is like, I can't speak enough about like what that means to us. Like, we feel so fortunate.
Yeah.
So, and I don't feel like we would have been given that opportunity if we didn't take that leap of faith and start that sponsorship with USA Weightlifting.
Yeah.
So, those are some of the things that we've gotten out of it. The reason why that we wanted to move in that direction in the first place was just to help weightlifters and to help do our part to push the sport forward.
We're weightlifters making stuff for other weightlifters. And eventually what we would like to build is a company that is able to hire other weightlifters, like can work here part-time, full-time, whatever, and eventually, but have a place to train and just kind of like have this weightlifting life, where you're just like, I go to work, I make weightlifting stuff, I train, I talk to other weightlifters, because weightlifters are, they just end up like, like magnets. They're like doing the same thing over and over again, like we just want to like pick stuff up and put it down, and we're kind of weird, in that way. Like most of the societies want to do that, so like stick together,
If we go back to some of the origins of weightlifting here in the US, there's always been this mantra that it's a broke sport, it's a dead sport, there's no money to be made in it. In the last 10 years, you can really say that has started to change. And there are some giants in this community that, we look at for influence, like Cal Strength, John North, Mash Elite, like these guys that are building companies and creating sustainable systems for their athletes to continue to thrive. And so this is kind of our angle at it. It's the same thing. We want to help push the sport forward. I think that there's money coming into the sport, which is crucial. And by pairing up the things that we do here, we're giving opportunities for weightlifters to pursue Olympic dreams and still be able to make some money doing it.
Yeah, for sure. So, on the topic of other weightlifters, you guys go to like so many events, all across the US and, probably in the future to international events too. So I guess just thinking back on the past, are there any kind of funny stories or stuff that kind of stand out? Any interesting moments? I'm sure there's got to be a couple.
I know I have a few. My stories probably are more related towards my role as a coach because we go to a lot of these meets. We set up a booth. I bounce between the booth and then also being in the back room with my athletes. So one of my most memorable stories was Youth Worlds in 2019. It was my first athlete that I ever put on an international team. A kid that's been training with me for over 5 years, since he was 12, and he's got a rough history. Came from a rough side of Los Angeles. Weightlifting has been his outlet, has been everything for him, and he's extremely talented. And I remember his final clean and jerk is 147 kilos. He's a 73, 147 kilos, and he's wrapping up his knees, and I'm in the back room with Piros Dimas and Mike Catone, and my kid's clock is running, and he's sitting there and he's wrapping up his knees and he's taking his time, and we're watching him, we're watching the clock, we're watching him. The clock passes 30 seconds and he still only has one knee wrap on. And I'm sitting there just going, you're good, keep wrapping your knee, like keep it going. And Mike and Piros Dimas were just like starting to sweat bullets. And I'm like, just keep going, Josiah, like get your other one on, let's go, keep wrapping. And it's a 147 kilo clean and jerk. This is a weight he's never attempted before. There's a lifetime PR at Youth Worlds, on the world stage, the biggest event of his career. He goes out, he pulls on 147 kilos, I think with like 4 or 5 seconds left on the clock. And then he smoked the lift and he made it, and he finished 5th in the world. Yeah. So that was like, I don't know, not too funny, but like a moment that I look back on now and I'm like, that was like such a, so much, so much emotion behind that whole experience. And no one knows that, they just see this kid coming out on the platform. They don't know that we're in the back room just like sweating bullets. Yeah. So I don't know. That was one that definitely is going to stick out for me.
Yeah. I think for me, just no one, well, I guess we're at every meet, so we meet a lot of people, but when Youth Nationals?
Yeah, Youth Nationals.
Came to Anaheim, it's down the street from us. So our club was the club that helped set up, break down, and after a long weekend, like we had like, how many people?
There was probably about 20 or 25 of my lifters all volunteered for the meet.
Yeah. And like we broke down the training hall, the warm-up area, and all 3 platforms in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or something.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Super fast.
And like I never realized what was underneath the platform. It's like these giant like foam blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're huge, and like the way to pull them out is they fit so perfectly that like you got to pull the first one out first, but that's the hard part, So once you pull that, then you can pull all of them out. But there's 3 stages of those, So it was fun because you got to see what kind of like hard work like USA Weightlifting does to put on these events. Like how much effort. Yeah, like the Rogue team, they're great. Like they're good at everything that they do, And it was one of my favorite events to be at because it's all these kids weightlifting, and we got to help set up, break down. Yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
Right on. Yeah. And then I guess just to wrap things up, I know we've kind of touched on a little bit with your future goals, your long-term vision. I guess as far as your next steps in the immediate short term, what do you guys have planned here for Onyx Straps and for SoCal Weightlifting?
Well, my 2 things for both Onyx and SoCal. I'll start with Onyx first.
Sure.
Gearing up for Tokyo, we want to show our support. We want to get involved with USA Weightlifting. They're hosting this big campaign, Tokyo Strong. We're in the process of trying to make these essentially like a challenge coin or a medallion, an emblem that's going to be hopefully co-branded with USA Weightlifting, some Tokyo Strong branding in there. There's a lot of pieces to those coins that we're still working on. They've never before been done before. You can't find leather challenge coins. So this is a whole new world that we don't know anything about. So working on those. And then big future goals for SoCal weightlifting. We have the making of a very strong women's team, a very strong men's team, and they're all developed here by us. And we're starting to put athletes on international teams. We're starting to push more athletes into the national meets. So I have lifetime goals of, coaching an athlete at the Olympics one day, which will always be there. So those are kind of the two things I'm really focusing on now, is harnessing this team environment that we have and continue to push that, and then also work on doing our part to help American lifters get to Tokyo and be successful.
Yeah. Immediate goals, just to give back to USA weightlifting, just meet more weightlifters and continue to push forward our skills at leather crafting, get myself better as a weightlifter, compete at on a master's level, have some fun, see the world, just enjoy life because of weightlifting, you know, I guess that's the ultimate goal of living a happy life where I get to weightlift, and weightlifting is my whole life, that's ultimately the goal, I guess,
Yeah, you get to set the example for your future goal. You get to train and then come in and work on things, build things for weightlifters, and then get back to the community.
And have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Not to take yourselves too seriously, and don't be afraid to make mistakes and laugh about it.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We really appreciate you taking up time in your day.
Thanks for having us.
Mark, Peter, appreciate it, guys. It's been rad.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.